Hi friends, I'm Helen with Floating Yoga School. It is a beautiful sunrise here on Maui, and I wanted to share a 15-minute mini stretch designed specifically for your low back. We're going to do this seated and reclined, so very gentle and supportive, no props needed. This is a great stretch you can do to start your day gently, to end your day, or anytime you need a little reset in your day. And this was a request by one of my friends who has some low back pain and muscle spasms, just something to gently open things up. We're gonna start lying down on your back with your knees bent up to the sky and together in a knock-kneed position. So as you're ready, you can find your way down onto your back. Take your feet a little bit wider than hip distance and let your knees fall in toward each other. I like to place my hands on the tops of the front of my hips. You can place your hands anywhere that feels supportive. And just give yourself a moment here to tune in, to notice what's happening, and to really let your sacrum, that triangular shaped bone at the base of your spine, melt down into the ground. So feel it release. Kind of soften around there. We'll start to take slower and deeper breaths in and out through your nose. And know that you can always stay a little bit longer in any shape that feels right, that needs a little bit more time. You can always adapt and modify. Begin to gently draw knees into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze into a little ball, however tight your body allows. And then start to rock side to side and make some circles in the sky with your knees. So you're massaging around that sacrum. Again, just really noticing how things feel. Sometimes I like to take one knee forward and then the other and just kind of move around. We're going to take this to an easy spinal twist. Both knees fall to one side. Arms can come out into a T or a cactus shape. And if this feels really tight, you can always stagger your legs, place a pillow in between, or rest your legs on something. And try to breathe into your left side. We'll take that through center to the other side. If you need a moment to reset, take that, knees in. And then let both knees fall in the opposite direction. Feel free to adjust your hips. And just start to breathe here. Hopefully feeling a little bit of space in your low back. As your sides feel even, bring it back to center. Knees to chest once more, little squeeze. And take it to an easy, happy baby. So think about drawing your knees to the outsides of your ribs, your feet up to the sky. Just hold on behind your knees. If you're uber flexible and you can reach your feet or your ankles right away, go there. But if you're like me and things are feeling a little tight, we're just gonna take this easy. We'll come back to this shape toward the end. Try to really lengthen your tailbone down, as if you could draw your tailbone to the earth and imprint that space between your sacrum and your tailbone. So kind of like your low back, upper butt area. Then we'll gently release feet back to the ground, to your mat. Take them wide once more and start to windshield wiper your knees right and left. And just notice how the front of your thighs feel. I'm feeling my quads a little bit today. I always feel my hip flexors. Those can pull on your pelvis and affect how your low back feels. So we'll start to open things up a little bit here too. Let both knees fall right. So similar to your spinal twist, this time your legs are a little bit staggered. You can stay just like that, or you can take your right ankle over your left thigh for a little bit more sensation. For me, I'm going to stay in the more gentle version. It is early morning. I'm not going to force it. Come back through center a couple times, right and left, or left and right, and then let it fall left in the opposite direction. Same option to stay or take your left ankle on top if that feels good for a little extra. And then bring it back to center. Walk your feet a little bit closer so they're about hip distance apart, and ankles are right below your knees. So some people will be able to reach down and find their heels. For some of us, that's not going to feel like the right distance. Just play with how far away your feet are. We're going to take an easy bridge pose, thinking about kind of imprinting your spine. So as you inhale, you're going to tilt your pelvis, tilt your tailbone up, and then gently lift your hips. And as you exhale, you're going to roll through your spine all the way down and return back to neutral. So there might be a little space below your low back. Inhale to imprint, engage your core, and lift. Exhale to lower and release back to neutral pelvis. A couple more times. I like to think about engaging pelvic floor as I lift up and release as I lower down. And you might find the opposite breath makes more sense to you. Maybe it's an exhale to lift and an inhale to lower. Let's do one more. Just gently finding a little bit of range of motion, a little bit of movement, and come back toward neutral. We'll find our way up to a seated position. You might like to turn to one side, or if you'd like to join me, hands behind your knees, start to rock and roll forward and back the length of your spine. A little massage there along your spinal muscles, and find your way up to a seated position. We'll take soles of their feet together, knees out wide for a butterfly or cobbler's pose. Lift your heart as you breathe in. Gently begin to hinge forward. Head and neck can stay long with your spine, or you can relax down. I feel this a lot in my inner thighs, groin area. And then slowly lift it up. Keep your right leg out, right knee out to the side. Extend your left leg. Words are hard this morning. Find your tall spine, breathe in, and then gently fold over your extended leg. And you can absolutely bend your left knee. That might get a little bit more into your low back versus hamstring. If you like it straight, don't force how low you go. It doesn't matter where your hands land. Some of us will be more here. Some of us will touch our feet. It's not a competition. We're just gently creating space. And you can adjust where this other foot lands, the right foot. See where it feels the most natural or comfortable. So one option is to stay like this. Another option that I like to get into the side of the low back, kind of QL area, quadratus lumborum, is the left hand comes inside, whatever leg is extended inside. The other arm reaches up and over. So it's a bit of a twist and a side bend at the same time. And then we'll simply release up, a little counter stretch, right hand back, left arm up, and come back toward neutral. Take this to a twist, right knee comes up, foot can stay inside your left leg or cross up and over. Right hand behind you, left arm hugs or hooks. Try to stay really tall through your spine and gently rotate around your spine. And then a little counter twist in the opposite direction. And I'm not holding these super long, so if you want to stay longer, please do. We'll switch sides. Left knee out to the side, finding that seated one-legged forward folds, tall spine, and then lean it forward. Again, feel free to bend your bottom leg. Feel free to relax your head and neck. Notice where you feel sensation. I like to imagine my breath moving into those areas as if I could open things up, breathe some space into it. And then again, if you took it to that side bend, I almost forgot, you can bring your hand in, up and over. And each side might feel a little different, so you might want to do something different. And when that feels like enough, we'll take our little counter stretch, left hand behind you, right arm up, lift, and return to neutral for your spinal twist. Left foot places itself on the ground, place your left foot on the ground or cross it up and over, and then find that twist to your left. Notice if you're leaning a lot back, you can use your core to sit up taller. And then slowly unwind, counter twist in the opposite direction. You're welcome to stay in a seat. We're going to move through cow and cat, so you can do that seated if you like, or join me hands and knees, depending on how your knees feel, your wrists feel. I can find a little bit more space from this position. Inhale to lift your tailbone, drop your belly, send your heart forward, really lengthen your spine, stretch through the front of your body. Exhale, scoop round, press the earth away. And then continue like that. Breathe in, belly down, lengthen. Breathe out, press, scoop round. One more time, back and forth. Take it back to neutral and find a child's pose. If you're in a seat, simply notice and stay where you are. Child's pose. Big toes touch, knees can be wider together. Arms extend, relax your forehead down. We're going to come all the way back onto our backs, so find your way there. And hug your knees to your chest. Notice how things feel here. Some circles like we started. Both directions. Place your feet on the ground. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh for a figure four. Option to press your thigh away. Create a little bit of space through the front of your hip. Option to hug everything into your chest. So I take my right arm between my legs, left arm around the back, and gently draw it inward. When that feels like enough, you're going to switch legs. Left ankle crosses, same thing, you can press away, create that space within the hip joint and through the front, or you can hug it in, getting a little bit more into the back outer hip, maybe a little glutes. Everything is connected, so even if we try to isolate one part of the body, it all affects each other in a good way, and sometimes in a not so great way. So if you're feeling tightness in low back, you might be tight other places as well. Or it might be affecting other places or coming from other places. And when that feels like enough, you're going to release. Take your feet wide, windshield wiper like we did before, right and left, just loosening things up. We're going to end in a happy baby. Knees toward your chest and then to your outer ribs, feet flex up to the sky. You might be here behind your knees again, your calves, your ankles, or even to your feet. Try to lengthen out your tailbone, get long through your low back. And when you've had enough, slowly release. Take a moment in stillness. I like my knees bent with my feet on the ground. That feels more supportive for my low back. You might take your feet wide again, that knock-kneed position. Nice release for your hip flexors. And hands wherever they comfortably land. Eyes can be soft or closed. Just a moment to tune in. We'll take a few breaths in silence and stillness. And feel free to stay or gently rise up to a seat. Add in any little movement, stretches. Bring your palms together in front of your heart and thank yourself for making the time to move, to breathe, to create a little bit of space. As always, I thank you for joining me, for sharing, liking, subscribing, being part of this community. We'll bow our heads together in silence. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon.